So, is Drew Brees the GOAT? Coming right up. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Common Sense Logic Reason. And as always, I want to say thank y'all for watching. Drew Brees was just inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame, and he was a first ballot Hall of Famer. Of course, that's no surprise to anyone. Now, I say that Drew Brees is the GOAT. And of course, he also delivered the GOAT inductee speech. But many people will say, well, you're being biased. You're from the city of New Orleans. You are a Saints fan. That Tom Brady is the GOAT. Well, he won 7 championship rings. Again, it is understandable. That's understandable for people to have that viewpoint. However, my opinion is not bias-based. It's based on fact. It's very fact-based in my opinion. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about the championship rings argument. That Tom Brady won 7 championships. Again, at a very impressive feat. Something that no one can ever take away from him. And that's impressive in any sport, in any league, to win 7 championships for the most part. But here's the problem with the championship argument. Championships, that's a team accolade. Okay, that's a team metric. Nobody goes into the Hall of Fame, though, based off of team accolades, because they go based off of individual achievements. Because if that were the case, then Stephen Neal, who was an offensive lineman for the Patriots and won 3 rings with Tom Brady, would be in the Hall of Fame right now. And by that same logic, LaDainian Tomlinson wouldn't be in the league. Dan Marino would not be in the Hall of Fame. Barry Sanders would not be in the Hall of Fame right now. It was just solely based off of championships, because none of those players, none of them won a championship, but they were very dynamic players. And all of them are in the NFL Hall of Fame right now without winning championships. So again, it's not about championships. You can't base a person's individual achievement on championships. That's a team metric. Now, secondly, let's talk about defense now. They say that defense win championships. Look, I'm with Michael Irvin on this one. Defense don't win championships. Teams win championships. However, having a good defense will help out a lot in winning a championship. Again, there's a reason why people say defense win championships. So it must be very important to have a good defense. Now, let's look at the average defense that Drew Brees played with. In his entire career, 20-year career, Drew Brees played with the average 26th ranked defense. Most of that was here in the city of New Orleans. Of course, that's including San Diego. 26 in yards, 23rd in points. That's the bottom half, the bottom third of the league. So Drew Brees has played with some horrible defenses, including the historically worst defense ever in 2012. The year we won the Super Bowl in 2009, our defense was ranked 25th in yards and 20th in points. However, they were second in takeaways. So that defense, our defense, was very optimistic. And this is why we won the Super Bowl, because they were very optimistic. I mean, even in the NFC Championship game, Tracy Porter got an interception late in the game to prevent the Vikings from trying to kick a field goal to win it in regulation, which we then got the ball first and drove down to kick a field goal and went to the Super Bowl, in which Tracy Porter also had a pick 6 in that game. So that defense was extremely optimistic. The problem with optimistic defenses, though, is that they don't last. Again, you've never seen a defense that survived being great by just being optimistic and getting turnovers every year. Defenses have been great by being good defenses and stopping teams from moving the ball up and down the field on them and scoring on them. Now, what was the average defense that Tom Brady played with? Well, the average defense he played in yards was 9th in his total 23-year career. 9th in yards, 8th in points. Now, could you imagine if Drew Brees played with a top 10 defense the entirety of his career? He would have as many rings, if not more rings, than Tom Brady. right? Not to mention the no call in 2018, which I believe that Drew Brees was robbed of a championship then. Because I believe if it wouldn't have been for that no call, we would have went to the Super Bowl and we would have beat the Patriots because the Patriots didn't match up well against what we did. You know, the Rams were a much better opponent for them than we would have been. That would have been one more ring for Drew and one last ring for Brady. But the fact is, like I said, if Drew Brees would have had better defenses, he would have more rings, and he would be. I don't think it would be an argument then of him being a GOAT if he would play with better defenses. And it's more than that because it's also when you hear stories of Drew Brees, how he prepared, the way he prepared, he prepared like no other, as people say, right? The camaraderie he had with the players, right? Those pre-game chants, right? He was the one behind the Who Dat chant before the game, in which the fans before the game would do the Who Dat chant 3 times. So, I mean, when you take the total package, to me, Drew Brees was a GOAT. Of course, people would continue to disagree. But if I had to choose, if you give me right now, if somebody say, you pick the quarterback that you want to lead your team in their prime, Drew Brees over any other quarterback, and I'm talking, some greats, Marino, Montana, Steve Young. We talk about some greats. I will pick Drew Brees over any quarterback who's ever played the game. That's why he's a GOAT to me, but everybody has their opinion. But like I say, the reason why I believe that Drew Brees is the GOAT is not based off of bias, it's based off of facts. I just gave a fact-based argument why he's the GOAT. Of course, people will still pick Brady. Hey, everybody pick their choice, but I'm going with Drew Brees. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on this, and it's always y'all. Until next time.